Imagine
a podcast
where time drifts slowly.
A podcast
where
Isaac
carries you away.
So let me be clear. We tortured some folks.
Hey, hi, hello. It's Isaac, and you are listening to Coexist Inc. Welcome very much. Tonight is the last night of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. He will not be missed. It was announced last fall that CBS and its new owners, the ultra-Zionist billionaire family, the Ellisons, would not renew Colbert's contract and The Late Show would be no more. It is being replaced with another talk show, Byron Allen's Comics Unleashed, because God knows we need more stand-up comedy in the 21st century. I am upset by all this, but not because it's a threat to free speech by the Trump administration. No, it's because Colbert gets to be a martyr and gets an undeserved and ceremonious departure from media. Liberals would have you believe that the show is being canned because it was a threat to Trump. Grow up. Those who mourn Colbert mourn institutionalism. Oh no, the Late Show format is dying. Colbert did not threaten power. If anything, he was a little leech feeding off of Trump. I am upset because Colbert does not lose on his own merits. Back in September of last year, me and the Remember Shuffle boys, Ben and Jordano, recorded this episode after it was announced that Colbert would be no more by May 2026. Many thought that the gloves were off now, nothing would be holding back Colbert, and he would be able to really let Trump have it. Would you be surprised if I told you that nothing had changed? Colbert stuck to the same hollow Trump criticisms, Orange Man bad, and kept doing the worst Trump impression on television. He continued to have neoliberal guests and parrot the same Obama-era talking points. Nothing has changed. It is rumored that tonight his last guest will be Pope Leo. His martyrdom would then be anointed by the holiest Catholic in the world, and he would feel vindicated and not look back and wonder if he got it all wrong. What a shame. So enjoy this episode made free for all to show the rise and fall of Stephen Colbert.
Goodbye, stranger. It's been nice. Hope you find your paradise. Glad to see you. Point of view. Hope your dreams will all come true. Goodbye, Mary.
Well, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is back for its final season after it was reported that Paramount was canceling the show entirely. And guess what? It still sucks.
Adding to all this terrible morbid speculation, on Thursday, Vice President J.D. Vance spoke to the USA Today, and here's how he answered the question, are you ready to assume the role of Commander-in-Chief if needed?
The president is in incredibly good health. He's got incredible energy. And while most of the people who work around the President of the United States are younger than he is, I think that we find that he actually is the last person who goes to sleep. He's the last person making phone calls at night.
Okay. The president doesn't sleep and is on the phone all night. Proof that he is completely healthy or runs a phone sex line. Hello? Hello? Yes? Hello? What am I wearing? I'm wearing my baseball hat with my name on it and compression socks for my bloated cankles. Oh, they're so plump with fluid right now. You want to tell you what? I could. I could shake him up. You want to hear him gurgle? You like that? You like that, baby?
I used to love this man. I loved Stephen Colbert back when I was a good liberal, I confess. But at some point, our paths diverged, and I changed, and maybe Stephen Colbert remained the same, but he used to be funny. Stephen Colbert was a very talented comedian in the 90s, in the 2000s, and a little bit into the 2010s. But unfortunately, like a lot of comedy during the Trump era, he stopped being funny. He also is an avatar of everything that's wrong with liberals today. He represents the empty impotence of Obama-era liberalism. He was the kind of guy who truly believed that the arc of the universe bends towards justice, and you don't have to do much to change it. Like the modern Democratic Party, Stephen Colbert never had an answer for our problems beyond, why can't we all just get along? And no one was more guilty during the Trump era of the whole Orange Man bad PP tape. He likes sucking Vladimir Putin's penis. It was really pathetic and terrible to see. But now he's gone. Or at least by May 2026, he will no longer have a network television show. I'm sure he's going to land on his feet just fine. And unfortunately, this kind of exodus of his helps him become a martyr. He won't learn from his mistakes. He won't realize, oh, I suck. I have completely misread the world. No, now he gets to be a martyr, a democratic martyr against the big, bad orange man. So in this episode, I am going to do part eulogy and part indictment. The eulogy is for the period of time when Stephen Colbert was funny. And then the indictment will be for the latter half of his career where he was pathetic. And to join me on this journey, I have the Remember Shuffle Boys with me, Ben and Jordano. Now, if you don't listen to Remember Shuffle yet, you should. I'm on it quite a bit. And if you're a millennial, which according to my Patreon statistics, most of you are, or at least that's the largest demographic I've got, you'll love it. It's all about the 2000s. So thanks to them for joining me once again. And I hope everybody enjoys the show at least more than you would enjoy an episode of a late night show that you have likely never seen in your entire life.
Goodbye, stranger. It's been nice. Hope you find your paradise. Glad to see you. Point of view. Hope your dreams will all come true. Goodbye, Mary. Goodbye, Jane.
We don't do our own editing anymore. So.
Yeah, no, I'm a one-man band. I'm an auteur, actually. I'm a podcast auteur.
You're the Ringo. You're the John Lennon. You're the, what was their producer called? Pete Best? No, he was the fifth Beatle.
That was the drummer they booted. Yeah.
Right. The famous Beatle producer. You're him too. Yeah.
I was trying to think of like a rap producer.
Yeah.
Mustard.
Who's the guy with the beer? Rick
Rubin?
Rick Rubin.
Rick
yeah,
Rubin.
I think he was the producer for
No,
the
he was
Beatles.
he wasn't a producer. He was like the guy who just be like, "This sounds good," you know. He never touched a dial. He doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
Another
I
Zionist
believe
freak.
the Beatles manager, and I'm not joking, I did just look this up. His name is Brian Epstein.
Yeah.
Hopefully no
yes, that's right.
relation.
That's who I was trying to think of.
Interesting.
Isaac's show is so funny. Like, whenever I listen to it, like in that Jimmy Brown episode, you know, like it's mostly about him, but there's just so many opportunities for you to take an avenue onto a, I don't want to call it a conspiracy theory because I don't, but like I mean I was ready to believe you on the Mark David Chapman thing. I was like, let's get the Mark David Chapman episode. You know?
I mean, I think that there's something. I think it would be fun to do like a Catcher in the Rye episode, and how Catcher in the Rye figures greatly in all these things. And I just saw the movie Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson and who's the
1997
pretty woman?
Noah said last night.
What's her name?
Julia Roberts?
Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts. Goddamn. Who, by the way, is so beautiful. Like I can't. She's
Have
so.
you heard about this, folks?
Well, she's just so interesting looking, but she also has this like plainness to her. She just, I don't know.
She's America's sweetheart.
She really is something. I'm definitely editing this out.
Her smile can light up a room. You know,
Yeah, she was super hot as Tinkerbell
really, she played Tinkerbell.
in Hook.
Oh
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. I
I
forgot
remember,
about
I remember watching Tinkerbell and being like, whoa, dude, Peter.
that. She got the staccato laugh. You know?
But no, Catcher in the Rye figures greatly in
Hook.
in conspiracy theory, not in Hook. And is predicted because of all these characters who happen to have Catcher in the Rye. Although it is one of those things where it's just like it's just one of the most popular books in America.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
every
it's the
single
book that
high school
everyone
student
read.
has to read it. Like,
Yeah, so it's like, oh, he had
did that
Catcher in the
happen?
Rye in his house. It's like, well, yeah, don't we all have Catcher in the Rye at our homes? But maybe that's why they picked it, because they knew we'd all have it. And they, you know, anyway, lots of stuff. Not too many conspiracies to talk about on this upcoming episode, except for I got a couple. Not the crazy one. I'll read it right now. I try to be organized here. I don't have a Ben on my show. You know, it's just me.
Oh, you
and
think
so,
Ben does the organization? Sometimes he does, I guess.
well, either way, whoever does it, I don't have that. I only have my own mind. And yeah, we're not going to bring up how Stephen Colbert is a demonic pedophile who clearly who makes some weird video with the Gautier song. I don't know. That's the first I'm hearing of it. But yeah, we're talking Stephen Colbert, rest in peace, the late night show. And I'm joined by my good friends, Ben and Jordano of Remember Shuffle. It's kind of a continuation episode because we did Jon Stewart. And so I think it's only natural that we do Stephen Colbert.
Hello, Isaac. It's good to be back here. It's good to be back with a guy who believes all the same things as me.
Oh, RFK is joining us.
Yeah, that's Jordano, the master of impressions, doing Tuck Buckford.
I'm doing Tuck Buckford.
You're
yeah.
doing Stephen Colbert's Tuck Buckford, which is Stephen Colbert doing a very piss poor job of Alex Jones.
But you know what I got to say? I feel for Alex Jones. I understand what he's going through because recently, under threat of lawsuit, my right-wing satirical character, Tuck Buckford, also had to apologize for some slanderous claims he made. And I believe we have the court-ordered video.
And that, brain fighters, is how the lesbian conspiracy has maintained its vice grip on our nation's chia seed supply, all right? It's how they reproduce, okay? It's their demon seed.
Right.
Brain Fight, I think was the parody.
Yes.
It's not even like funny, dude. It's like that's the best they can come up with. But no, we're here to talk about Stephen Colbert, the cancellation of his late night show by Trump himself. Not really, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, he's been back in the news recently because after 8 successful years, after 8 years as the host of the Late Show at the Ed Sullivan Theater, all of a sudden his show's been canceled. People think as a gesture of political goodwill, right, to Trump.
Yes, May 2026, the Late Show will be no more. So they're not even replacing Stephen Colbert. It's just gone.
They're salting the earth.
Which they got rid of the James Corden show in 2023 as well. Yeah. He was too political. But yeah, I think I want to go through the Stephen Colbert arc because I think as good liberals, we were all big fans of Stephen Colbert on The Daily Show and The Colbert Report. And I had great love for the man. And then The Late Show was terrible. It's just absolute dog shit. So I kind of want to go with my friends here over this arc of Colbert and what it means and what he signifies and what he's an avatar of. Because right now, The Late Show is terrible. I think we can all agree. Did you guys do some homework?
Brutal stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And now he's just like a martyr. He's getting all this incredible support from mainstream media, from his friends. And people are saying, this is like the death of democracy. Free press is over because they're canceling Colbert for real this time.
The fact that CBS didn't try to save their #1 rated network late night franchise that's been on the air for over 3 decades is part of what's making everybody wonder, was this purely financial? or maybe the path of least resistance for your $8 billion merger?
It's very sad. I love Stephen, I love his staff. I love that show. It's incredibly sad.
But I think the thing that so many of us love about Stephen Colbert is that he is at heart an incredibly decent human being with an amazing wife and family and strong faith.
It's bad. He's a great, great guy. They just cut NPR and, public broadcasting. Yes, they're trying to silence people, but that won't work. It won't work. We will just get louder.
As a comedian, what your thoughts on Colbert's CBS cancellation was, if you have any thoughts on that.
I just saw him, and he looks happy. He's a strong man, and he's going to do great. And
he's always done that. He's always punched up at power, speaking truth to power. And wherever my camera is, I want this one. I want to tell Stephen, you should run for president, sir. Do it! Run. He's running.
Either that or launch a Netflix show or whatever,
We're going to get into that as well. And the theory goes that because Paramount, which owns CBS, is merging with Skydance, which is owned by David Ellison, the son of Larry Ellison, CIA Oracle bastard Zionist. So there's a little conspiracy thing for you guys there. And will be replaced, I think they're going to put fucking Barry Weiss in charge of CBS 60 Minutes, which is great. Apparently
Sumner Redstone's gone now, I guess. That was so funny the last few years of his life, where he was like 90 years old and getting his like nurses, like he would offer his nurses like $90,000 to jack him off. And he'd be like, jerk me off, please. He's like about to die. Just like, he has billions and he's just like, how can I get a few more hand jobs?
God, I hope by the time I'm 90 years old, I don't want a hand job from anybody anymore. That's my wish. That's when I blow out my birthday candles each year. I'm like, is this the year I'm going to stop wanting hand jobs? I'm praying for that. I won't miss it. I won't miss the late night. Not that I ever watched it, but it's good that is it good that it's gone? I mean, is it? I don't know. I'm piecing it together. It is sad that instead of him failing on his own merits of just being a terrible television show, now he gets to be a liberal darling martyr against the big bad orange man. And nobody, I think, was more guilty in the Trump era of being big bad orange man PP tape nonsense.
Yeah.
Unless, can you think of someone else who was more annoying
Alec
about it?
Baldwin's really the only person on the same level, I think, is as like an avatar for anti-Trump. Like, the first, when Stephen Colbert took over the Late Show in 2015, 2016, he became number one in the ratings. Like, he went from number 4 to number 1 very quickly as an avatar for all of this anti-Trump animus, right? I think that he really like grabbed a hold of this spirit of like people wanting to talk about Trump, which is obviously what Trump hates when people talk about him.
Yeah. Well, no,
there was a brief window when Stephen Colbert was hosting the late night show, but Trump wasn't president yet. And in his initial run, he was trying to be a more traditional, middle of the road, centrist pablum, Jay Leno, David Letterman type. And it was not doing it in the rankings. Donald Trump was the best thing to happen to Stephen Colbert's career on the late night. Because once he started being the annoying resistance lib that we know and love, that's when he skyrocketed to number 1 in the ratings.
And his comedy was so good, Trump didn't win re-election.
He eviscerated him every night.
He destroys.
He actually had Trump on his show in that era. They played a game together called Trump or Stephen Colbert of the Colbert Report.
That was leading up to the election, though, I think, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, the first guest I think Stephen Colbert ever had on his show was Jeb Bush.
Oh no!
Yeah, and Jeb Bush you should watch it. He's so fucking bad.
Is that the one? Is that the one where Stephen Colbert is telling his audience like, now, this man is my guest. You're not allowed to boo him.
I can't remember if that was the part, but what he did was he had Jeb read from the teleprompter as though he were Trump. Like it's like, can you give your take on Obama's Iran nuclear deal? And he gives like a terribly sincere answer, and then he's like, actually, can you read it as though you were Trump? And he's like, we're gonna build a wall between.
All right,
time has come to talk about the big orange elephant in the room. Donald Trump, who, according to recent polls, and according to his math, he leads by 9 billion%. Okay. You've got another debate coming up in about a week on CNN.
Yep.
Okay. I want to help prep you for that debate because I'm grateful that you're here as my guest. Would you help me prep you a little bit?
I would love it. I need a lot of help.
Okay, let's do this. Okay, what we're going to do is we'll do a role playing. I'll be the moderator. You answer the first question. We'll see how it goes, okay? Governor Bush, what's your reaction on the Iran nuclear deal?
I think President Obama is being naive to trust the Ayatollahs, and this deal will ultimately create an even more unstable Middle East, and it troubles me.
Okay, I think the Republicans in the room would like that answer, but the folks at home are going to miss some of that because in the middle of it, they're going to flip over to Naked and Afraid. Okay, what we've done is that we've written up here an answer that's just a little bit, just Trumpier. All right, just read it right off there. Okay, ready?
This could be dangerous.
No, it's be fine.
All right, here we go.
Governor, what is your reaction to the Iran deal?
I will build a wall between the United States and Iran and make Mexico pay for it.
Okay.
Iran and the weapons, and Mexico's going to pay for it. And it's just like, again, him just like humanizing despicable characters, which we'll also get into. So let's start chronologically here with Mr. Stephen T. Colbert.
If I could I offer maybe a through line for I think what I'm going to talk about?
Yeah, dude.
I think it might be helpful.
Yeah.
Because just to keep in mind that like what I think is so interesting about Stephen is that one, he makes this transition from being like good at comedy to being like so bad. And that transition is made when he makes the flip from playing a satirical character, right, his Stephen Colbert character that on the Colbert Report, to sincere. You know, that when he takes over the Late Show, he becomes like a sincere pundit, right? And the original Colbert that I was watching in these clips, like a lot of times the jokes he's making are like things that the modern day Stephen might say. But the issue is that, like, because he's playing a parody, he has the ability to be so much more transgressive and defend his transgressiveness because he's playing a character. And I really think where, like, the rot exists in Stephen or and his new persona is that, like, he's a lib, right? And, like, liberalism, like, doesn't offer you any, like, good, sincere ideology, right? Like, it will allow you to attack someone like George Bush or Donald Trump and say this is bad. But when the onus is back on you to like have something to offer people, there's nothing to liberalism. Like, what is he really like? He would never talk about class politics or something like that, right? His thing is just like George Bush is bad. I don't have anything to offer you when I'm being sincere, though. You know, but he has such a great.
It's only the negative vision. There is no positive vision on offer to be had.
Right.
And I think this is all wrapped up in Stephen Colbert's Catholicism. Catholics hate themselves and are racked with guilt, and so they can put on the mask of satire with great ease. They can tear something down because they don't need to actually deal with their own emotions or what they feel and want. But when it comes time for a Catholic to be sincere, it's like Tony Soprano going to therapy, man. It doesn't work.
This is a pro-Protestant podcast now. I have here in my little notes because I know it seems very disorganized, but I have things written down. He went from being a parody of initially Bush, but then Obama era conservatism to being a parody of Trump era liberalism. I loved him because he appeared to be sincere, and I watched him on that awful Jerry Seinfeld show, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, and he had a white beard on, and he was being so fucking charming. Like, he just seemed like this promising person in this new era of American politics. But this was supposed to be the era of that moral universe arc bullshit of Obamaism. Like, Obama neoliberalism was supposed to continue. It was supposed to keep going in this direction, and Stephen Colbert would have been the perfect character for that insincere neoliberal bullshit as a sincere human being. But then I forgot who Hillary lost. Yes, that's what happened. And we got Trump, and I don't think that this character that Stephen Colbert was supposed to play got to manifest, and instead he had to adjust, and he adjusted like all liberals do, which was Trump era bad man PP tape bullshit. So let's get into the origins of
Let's do
Mr.
it.
Stephen T. Colbert. And the first note I have in origins is Catholic.
Nice.
So thank you for starting us there. Yes, Stephen Tyrone Colbert. That's his actual middle name.
That rocks.
Is a Irish Catholic. One of 12 children. Born in Charleston, South Carolina. His mom, busy lady. Speaking of his mom, and this is a little anecdote, and this is where you can, I have to entertain my parapolitical conspiracy people on my show. Here's a little tidbit for my conspiracy listeners. Stephen Colbert shared this week a wild anecdote about how he came to be in the possession of a pair of pants that once belonged to Nicaragua's late brutal dictator Anastasio Somoza Debayle. Yeah, that's right. His mom dated fucking Somoza.
Wow. I have Anastasio Somoza's pants. Do you know who he was? The brutal dictator of Nicaragua who was deposed by the Sandinista in the late 70s. Do you know who I'm talking about here?
Yes, tell the story slowly. Don't miss anything out.
No one outbid you on this?
I didn't have to. I
out of the same gym.
My mom had them.
Okay.
What?
My mom had Anastasio Somoza's pants.
Slower.
Hello.
Go slower. You're already going faster than I want you to do.
Anastasio Somoza was deposed like in, I don't know, 78 or 79 or whatever. He's, we're watching the Today Show because I'm about to go off to school in the morning, and we got the little Hitachi TV in the kitchen, and it's like Joe Garagiola, whoever, watching the live feed of Somoza, who has fled Nicaragua and has landed in Miami and is getting off the plane to go to some hospital. He's got a heart condition or cancer or something. And
Can you say what pants is he wearing?
well, he's carrying his own suitcases, and the newscasters are speculating, well, those are filled with like gold bullion or something like that. That's why he's carrying his own suitcases. He won't let anybody touch where the money is. And I was like, look at that. And my mom, who's standing behind me, wiping her hands, on a kitchen towel, she goes, poor Tacho. And I said, what do you mean Tacho? She goes, well, that's what we used to call him. I said, who's we? Oh, your uncle Ed. Wait, Uncle Ed knew Anastasio Somoza? He goes, well, we dated for a little while. I said, you dated the brutal dictator of Nicaragua? And she goes, he wasn't the brutal dictator of Nicaragua when I was dating him. That was his father. And so my uncle went to LaSalle Military Academy somewhere on Long Island back in the 1930s and early 40s. And Tacho used to come home and stay with my mom's family in Larchmont because he couldn't go all the way back to, is it Managua? Yeah, Managua. For the holidays. So he was like Harry Pottering, and my family was the Weasleys. And so my mom went on some dates with Anastasio Somoza. And then whatever the last year he went back after they graduated, he left his clothes at my grandparents' house.
Oh boy.
And so I have Anastasio Somoza's pants.
That's a very bizarre bit of family lore that your mom lived with Somoza and went on dates while he was crashing on your couch.
That's wild.
Fucking weird, right?
Yeah.
Very, very weird stuff.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things you learned kind of early on when Stephen stopped being on The Daily Show and started talking sincerely at times was that his father died tragically on Eastern Airline flights 212
on September 11th.
On September 11th, 1974.
Okay, so a few more years than I thought. Okay, he died in the other September 11th.
It's the other September 11th. There are many September 11th. I think there's one a year actually, but there isn't much to say about that. According to Wikipedia, the reason the plane crashed was because the pilots were chit-chatting with each other, very rehearsal-esque, I think. Yes, Stephen's father, who was a doctor and a academic, actually, is what he would teach at a medical school. His father and his two brothers died. And that makes up a lot of Stephen Colbert's, I think, sincerity at moments. He would deploy it in interviews talking about just life, and he would speak beautifully about life. There's that interview with Anderson Cooper where he talks about like existence is beautiful and God gives you suffering. Like that's the deal.
You told an interviewer that you have learned to, in your words, love the thing that I most wish had not happened.
I remember.
You went on to say, "What punishments of God are not gifts?" Do you really believe that?
Yes. It's a gift to exist. It's a gift to exist. And with existence comes suffering. There's no escaping that.
Mm-hmm. And Anderson Cooper, also CIA agent, chokes up briefly about it. But Stephen did have that ability to access, being a total fucking character, but had that ability to access these like really sincere, earnest moments. And as someone who would like more sincerity in the world, he seemed very promising at that.
I had heard before. I had heard him speak in interviews about how like some people have speculated that he is so funny because like after both his father and two of his brother died in a plane crash, like his mother was very depressed, and he spent a significant portion of his childhood. I think he's one of the younger children, just trying to cheer up his mother, make her laugh. But yeah, I always figured Stephen Colbert's Catholicism, like very large into his mythology. I think that he's probably one of America's better known Catholics, someone who continued being religious after joining Hollywood. He's also a big fan of Lord of the Rings. Isn't Tolkien like a big Catholic?
Yep. Yep. Famously.
Like I always identified him that way, but to play that into, I think Ben, said it best when he just said that it gives him like the certain ability to sort of hate himself and like play a satire of himself. When he plays Stephen Colbert, like you have to really understand something to do a parody of it. Like you have, you can't do it without first like fully, like really understanding the subject. And I think that he does because he's from this background. Wasn't his father like the first ever president of like the Yale Medical School or something, like the youngest ever president of like Yale Medical School, maybe one of the Ivy League medical schools. His father was like a 28-year-old president of the medical school.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say that's true. I don't know. But yeah.
28 to 35, one of the better. It could have been Princeton. It might have been outside the Ivy, or that is in the Ivy League. But yeah, anyway, a good school, a very well-to-do family. Yeah, that's all to say.
And I guess for him to become a comedian, well, I think the rest of his brothers and sisters were like successful lawyers and doctors. Black sheepish, interesting guy.
Yeah, I believe he came up through either the Groundlings or the
Second City. Yeah, so we can get into that now. He went to school for communications or something like that, but at Northwestern, so kind of became a Chicago boy, and then started getting involved in Second City. He was Steve Carell's understudy at Second City, and that's where he formed like a lifelong bond with the comedian, and would actually be responsible for bringing Steve Carell over to The Daily Show. But at Second City,
they're very similar. I find those two guys, again, like two Catholics, guys who are able to sort of put this like window of like disassociation, and like I find when they're doing a character, they both have that ability to have this separation where you're like, do they know that they're being stupid? Like you can't see it. You can't see them like indulging themselves in knowing that they're doing an impression. They seem to be doing it sincerely.
It was almost like anti-neurotic too, because it's like, yeah, they have like a totally straight face to doing it. It's not the Jewish way of like hamming it up. You're like, like
yeah.
They were able to do that monotone, like humorlessness humor, right? And it was so perfect for what would become the golden era, I think, of The Daily Show. They were brilliant together. The Stephen versus Stephen stuff. Whenever they worked together, it was always some of the funniest bits on The Daily Show, I thought. But before The Daily Show, Stephen was doing the Dana Carvey Show, which was a very short-lived, I guess, variety show hosted by the very talented but somehow never really made it big Dana Carvey.
It's what you always hear, about this legendary writers' room that they had there in the early 90s.
He would also do what I think is actually his best work on the TV show Strangers with Candy with Amy Sedaris. If you haven't seen Strangers with Candy, it's only 3 seasons, a very short 3 seasons. It is so fucking funny. Like, I cannot recommend it enough. And the first episode, it was so edgy, too. I mean, like, I guess it was like late 90s, early 2000s. I think it was 1998 was when Strangers with Candy first started. And I'm going to put a sound bite in.
I know which one.
I'm not going to say it, because I'm not saying it.
Excuse me, but you see, don't you touch where they pee without coinage.
Thank you, Jerry.
When I straddle and squat to show you my...
All right, Jerry. All right, everybody, for tomorrow, I want you to write a history poem on Hiroshima, but nothing too faggy. Jerry, you hold on a minute.
Sure.
Principal Blackman wanted me to speak to you about Kimberly Timbers.
My locker mate?
Yes. We'd like you to spy on her.
Spy on her? Hey, I'm no squealer, all right? I'm not snarking on anybody. What'd you do?
We suspect she might be retarded.
But it just showed like how funny and edgy Stephen Colbert was, and it's funny to compare to what he has become.
Yes, and I watched this show because you've recommended it so many times to me, and I thought it was really funny. I mean, it's Bad Teacher, right? Bad Teacher, always, like Bad Doctor, a classic, character archetype. But like what stood out to me the most is his transgression, and he really can only do that transgression when he's in character. Like he's playing a dumb teacher, or he's playing a like fake right-wing pundit. And it's just interesting that I think like when he did The Late Show, I think he got in trouble for saying that Vladimir Putin was Donald Trump's like cock holster.
Yeah.
And he didn't have that like defense to fall back on, right? Like he loves to stay in, like not break character and be like, okay, well, of course I'm being transgressive. Like I'm a bad person, right? And when he doesn't have that, it like really saps him of a lot of his power.
Ben, anything to add?
I wanted to do the cock holster thing. He stole the.
Well, I introduced the point. I think therefore I get to say it.
We'll get into that. So while Strangers with Candy is going on, he does jump on board The Daily Show and develops another lifelong bond that, for me, was very fun to see with Jon Stewart. Like they clearly deeply love each other, and I deeply loved, and still kind of have a place in my heart for Jon. And so they're working together during the Bush era was amazing. And you could see Stephen kind of honing that Colbert Report character as a pundit. And some of the best bits were definitely Stephen's bits. And there was that time when Al Sharpton didn't show up. And so Stephen Colbert had to be Al Sharpton in the interview.
I know that you lost the mayoralty and now you're running for president. Seems backwards, but what are your thoughts on that?
I'm gonna win.
It's that.
I'm rested. I'm ready. I'm thin. I've got street cred now since I've been in the old Gray Bar Hotel, which is what the kids are calling it these days.
And you could just tell he was doing. They were really. I don't know if they were the first people to do it, but on the Daily Show they were doing the field reporting bits where they would stay in character, and you just see the strength of Stephen Colbert's improv. Like he's clearly brilliant. Like he's a very, very smart guy, and you saw it was perfectly deployed in these moments to interview people, interview politicians, and think so quickly on his feet that you could never get around him. It was so much fun to watch him perform in that. And from there, in 2005, he would get his own show, The Colbert Report. Do you guys have anything you want to say about The Daily Show? I know we did a whole episode on that, but anything you wanted to add about Stephen during the Daily Show era?
I would say go and listen to both of those episodes, one on our show, one on Isaac's show, because I think there was a quote that we had that's just sticking in my mind where I believe it was Stephen Colbert who said, when you do these field pieces, you need to take your soul and hang it up in the closet.
Yes.
And I think that shows his once absolute dedication to the bit, like unflinching. This guy is not going to break character. This guy is not going to pull any punches. This guy is going to white knuckle his way in character, doing the biting satire, saying transgressive things, and even like really dumb bits. Like we'll see in the when we fully start talking about Colbert, I think there were some fun like real world mobilizations that he did for just the dumbest possible causes for the sake of comedy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that, so many of the characters on The Daily Show, like this is what they're usually doing is like they go in there with sort of a Socratic irony and like attempt to piss off the other person. But Stephen Colbert had like the Sacha Baron Cohen level of like being able to just completely like straight up antagonize the other person and sit there with a straight face and like be the heel in a way that I think like, this is something we talked about on our Daily Show episode is like no one's really willing to get their soul that dirty anymore, like Stephen was willing to do.
Mm-hmm. And I think he rode, I think that was the beginning of the golden era of Stephen Colbert. I think it stretches from Strangers with Candy into The Daily Show and then into at least the first half of the Colbert Report. Mm-hmm. And 2005, I mean, I think you guys are the experts in this. And I don't think you've done like an episode about conservative pundits like Rush Limbaugh and
we
Bill
did a
O'Reilly.
War on Christmas episode. That's probably as close as we got.
Right.
And a Tea Party episode. And
so I guess to paint the picture of like the mid-aughts where you have, it's like the waning Bush administration. Bush is post 2004, would you say he's like kind of dead in the water? Like nobody likes him. Even like the conservatives are having a hard time defending him.
Usually people say like fall 2005 with Hurricane Katrina. That is like the point at which he is basically a lame duck from then on out.
But the conservatives still had to remain like culturally relevant, and they maintained their cultural relevance, I think, through Fox News, through Bill O'Reilly. Mm-hmm. We didn't have the Tea Party yet, but we did have Rush Limbaugh. We had like Early Tucker and Glenn Beck, who another fall from grace that fucking like chubby man has. But Stephen Colbert becomes a direct parody of Bill O'Reilly with this Stephen Colbert character.
Yep.
And it was amazing. I mean, I remember never missing an episode during that era. And it was like the first time you could stream it on ComedyCentral.com, I remember. Free. It informed my worldview in a massive way at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. He put together such a solid, like, satirical version of himself. And I think it's based on the fact that, like, given his background, the son of, like, a Catholic, upper class family, well-to-do, it gave him, like, the sensibility of, like, knowing how these people think. And when you watch him in that interview with Bill O'Reilly, right, he's able to respond top of mind, like, immediately, right? There's no questioning. And this is where I mentioned he's kind of like Sacha Baron Cohen, where he, like, really understands this character so well that you can ask him anything, and, like, the entire backstory of his world is filled out. Like, he knows what Stephen Colbert, the character, thinks about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he wrote an entire book in the first person of this person. And, like, you read that book,
I Am America, and so can you.
And a lot of it is just like you take the conservative position and you just kind of bring it to its logical conclusion and, like, play that out as sincere. And, it can be funny. I enjoyed the book.
He's so good at getting in digs while in character. So he's in this interview with Bill O'Reilly, and Bill O'Reilly is asking these obnoxious Irish American bloviating questions where he's like, and Stephen Colbert is immediately able to answer in a way that's a dig on him.
The #1 show that dominates cable news, The O'Reilly Factor.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Culture War segment tonight, the Colbert Report on Comedy Central. It's a very successful program that owes everything to me. With us now is Stephen Colbert.
Bill, thank you for having me on.
Are you ready for the interview?
I'm ready for anything.
Okay,
my life
ready.
is an open book. I've been waiting my whole life for this, sir. Okay. I'm here at the heart of O'Reillydom right now. This is the Holy of Holies. Hit it. I'd love to be nailed.
Colbert, that's a French name, is it not?
It's a French name just to get the cultural elites on my side, Bill. I'm as Irish as you. I'm a Tormey, I'm an O'Neill, I'm a Tuck, I'm a Fee, I'm a Connolly.
Because I
could sit toe-to-toe at a potato table with anybody.
I talked to your third grade teacher, Miss Crabtree. She said back then you were Little Steve Colbert in South Carolina.
I was Steve Colbert.
But you, once you got here to Manhattan from South Carolina, changed from Little Steve Colbert to Stephen Colbert.
Bill, you know you gotta play the game that the media elites want you to do, okay? Some places you can draw the line, some places you can't. You and I have taken a lot of positions against the powers that be, and we've paid a heavy price. We have TV shows, product lines, and books.
Now, who watches you? What's your audience? Do you do research? Do you know who?
Well, Bill, that's one of the reasons I want to do my show, okay? I emulate you, and I want to bring your message of love and peace, which I understand that is your message.
It is.
I want to bring the message of love and peace to a younger audience, people in their 60s, people in their 50s, people who don't watch your show.
Okay, so people in their 50s and 60s, too young for the factor.
Right.
Are watching your show. Because we did a study of Jon Stewart's show.
Yeah. That guy?
Yeah, and it was stone slackers that were watching his show across the board.
Absolutely. You have to be high to understand Jon Stewart.
Now,
that guy is he is pinker than an Indian River grapefruit.
How does Stewart handle the fact that you are now more famous and successful than he is?
I don't know. We don't talk.
Where he says, like, oh, I'm trying to do you, but for a younger audience, you know, 60s, 50s. Like,
I love that. Yeah, that's such a good line.
Like the mental and verbal judo that he can do when in a room with the loudest news anchor in America is incredible.
Bill O'Reilly doesn't even get he doesn't land a single punch.
No.
And how can you? Because he's a character. So he does, like, he'll allow you to, swing at him as hard as you want. It doesn't fucking matter. And Bill O'Reilly could not understand that. That era of maybe, like, actual sincerity of America during, like, the Bush and Obama administration. He really came to form, or at least, like, presented himself to America at that White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Yes.
Where I remember it being funnier than it is, I guess. Like, we were watching. Well, it's so long. It's like 30 minutes long.
Jesus.
Which is impressive. And to do that, really, literally, like, 5 feet away from the most powerful man on earth is interesting. And the joke he opens up with is about getting shot in the face.
Yeah. Oh, I can't believe I'm here with Bush. Somebody pinch me. Or wait, somebody shoot me in the face.
Wow. Wow, what an honor. The White House Correspondents' Dinner. To actually, to sit here at the same table with my hero, George W. Bush. To be this close to the man. I feel like I'm dreaming. Somebody pinch me. You know what? I'm a pretty sound sleeper. That may not be enough. Somebody shoot me in the face. Is he really not here tonight? Damn it.
Yeah. But Dick Cheney wasn't there.
Yeah.
But it was really fun because it wasn't at that point yet where the American media apparatus figured out that it should be more vulgar. Like, people weren't laughing at his obviously funny jokes because there was more decorum back then. Even though the White House media apparatus was, I'd say, mostly anti-Bush at that point.
Sure.
There was still, like, this decorum they had where, like, they wouldn't, like, smile or be smug or anything like that. Like, today, can you imagine what a White House Correspondent Dinner might be like today? Whether it's, like, Shane Gillis giving the fucking white... Like, I think everyone would want to appear to be so in on the joke that they would be, like, laughing harder than they even should be. Like, it would be like an actual taping at a late night show with, like, an applause sign.
Yeah.
So it did paint such a different era of comedy and politics to me.
And I think what's so impressive about that clip, I agree with you, Isaac, it's too long. And the pre-filmed bit that he closes with is pretty cringy and not great. But the jokes he makes are frequently pretty dark. Like, he makes a joke about how the president has proven with his ability to stand in the rubbles of Baghdad and recently flooded squares that there is no tragedy that he cannot turn into the ultimate American photo op or something to that effect. Where, like, yeah, you are laughing at the death and destruction that has been wrought and this administration's either causing or horrible reactions to it. I don't think anybody would, like, imagine a comparable comedian trying to make a joke about, like, ICE detention facilities now, where the punchline is still about the administration doing this shit. I just don't see a world where that happens.
Right.
And to Bush's credit, he's taking it on the chin pretty good. Like, he's leaning back and he's smiling.
That was kind of the wonder that everybody had, I think, after that Correspondents' Dinner came out, is like, do they understand what the character is, right? Because I had heard, I think Malcolm Gladwell talks about satire, and he mentions, like, there are people who watch Stephen Colbert, you know, it's like The Sopranos, right? Where it's like there are people who watch it and think, yeah, Tony's the friggin' boss, and there are people who watch it and say, wow, he's such a bad guy. Or, you know, I hope he gets it. And I had heard from Malcolm Gladwell that some people watch Stephen Colbert and are like, yes, I sincerely agree with the things this character is saying.
If Malcolm Gladwell is saying something, the opposite is true. The most humorless, stupid fucking man.
That can't be right. No one was watching Stephen Colbert and they were like, time to hear some truths. You know,
all you have to do is watch 10,000 hours of Stephen Colbert. No, I don't believe that for a single second.
Okay, but then I wonder, like, well, because that's how I'd always assumed he got the gig, right? It's like someone in the George Bush administration was like, oh yeah, here's a guy who kind of agrees with me. Who hosted the White House Correspondents' Dinner in the other Bush years, I guess? Like,
I think Seth Meyers did it. I can't remember. I think they've killed it now, right?
I don't even know if Biden brought it back, because Trump killed it in his first term. They had the fake one the first year with Hassan Minhaj, I think.
And they had that redheaded Rachel Wolf or something. What was her name?
Oh yeah,
Michelle Wolf.
Yeah. And hers was actually really good. I thought. In hindsight, she's not the physical comedian that Stephen Colbert is. But I remember she ended that correspondence speech by saying, actually, I think you guys love Trump. Mm-hmm. And it was a criticism of the media itself that I thought was incredibly poignant. But no, it's hard to imagine that even working today. I mean, like, Trump can roast, but cannot be roasted. Although there is a roast of Donald Trump. I kind of want to rewatch that.
It's good, yeah.
You have back to like this Bush era of the Colbert Report. Lots of fodder to work with, lots to parody. And eventually you get Obama. I mean, and it's kind of like The Daily Show and the Colbert Report can kind of take a little bit of credit for this new world, because this is the world they wanted us to all go into, right? This is, if they got to pick anybody, I think it would have been Obama over Hillary even. And so I think that this is where the beginning of the end kind of starts for America, really, but especially for comedy. I don't know if you guys want to say anything else about the Bush era Colbert Report.
I'll just add one thing, because this stuck in my mind. I was never as big a fan of Colbert as I was of Jon Stewart. Just I personally found, like, the bit was great, but I found that I tired of it quicker. But Colbert would sometimes mobilize his fans for these ridiculous, stupid real-world events that serve no function whatsoever. And so there was an Ontario Junior League hockey team in Michigan, the Saginaw Spirit, who needed a new mascot, and they did an online poll. And he had his fans vote for something like the Stephen Beagle, and it was a beagle dog that kind of looked like him, and he won. And then he turned this into a recurring bit on the Colbert Report, where he would say, you know, now time for the Spore Report. Let's check in on America's favorite pastime, Ontario Junior League hockey. And he had so much goodwill that the coach of this OHL team came on the Colbert Report and did an interview. And sure enough, he was asking him questions about, like, giving steroids to the teenagers of the Ontario Junior League hockey team. These guys who were, like, still in high school and whatnot. And it was just for the sake of comedy. It wasn't trying to make any kind of big, broader point about the world. But on top of the political satire that you just got a guy who was, like, fully dedicated to making people laugh and pointing out some of the absurdities of the world.
Yeah. In his book, our hometown gets like a shout out, actually. He says, we need to take, if global warming is real, then we need to take the temperature, a rectal temperature exam to see if it's happening. So we need to go to the Earth's asshole, like presumably in Windsor, Ontario. And our town was like so flattered. Like
we invited Stephen Colbert to lead our Christmas parade.
To stick a thermometer in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also called us on his show the city that makes Detroit look good in comparison. So, hey, ain't no such thing as bad press.
He was so funny, and at the time he was also a great voice actor for some very funny cartoons, like Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law.
You wanted to see me?
Yeah, I need your help.
Really?
On my way to work, I hit a guy.
Oh, that doesn't seem so bad.
Every day this week.
Oh. Any witnesses?
Some kids.
Nobody believes kids.
And a nun.
Nobody believes nuns.
Someone suing Phil Kensebin.
Damn it. I'll take the case.
And if we lose, it's you and me, Birdman, against the world.
Yes.
2 heavily armed men in a bunker fighting extradition.
Oh.
And the Venture Brothers. He was so talented at these things, and he clearly did love the absurd. This is where, this is where it changes. When Obama gets elected, we're in a new, it's a new world. I mean, we can all remember how good it felt and how promising the whole thing was. Colbert had to reinvent himself, but it wasn't a strain, because you had the conservative absurdist movement of the Tea Party,
Mhm.
you know, and so this more fodder. Great. Now he can really do these characters. These characters are giving him even more to work with than before, I think. But still, Obama is in charge, and he no longer parodies Obama, right?
Mhm.
He's no longer criticizing Obama. He's criticizing the criticism of Obama.
Mhm.
This is what the Daily Show does, the Colbert Report does, and this is where the magic starts to dissipate. This is where I think Colbert exposes himself in the entire liberal operation, and I think it's most clearly embodied when he visits the troops in Operation Iraqi Stephen, like Going Commando, where he goes and does a USO tour and humanizes the fucking empire.
So I feel you're neither here nor there. Are you there?
I'm in Baghdad, Iraq right now, performing for the troops at the Al-Fa Palace, at Saddam's palace.
Saddam's palace. That may be the...
I'm playing the palace. That's what you go for in this biz. I went through basic training. I would recommend, if you're going to do the crawl through the sand pit under the barbed wire, wear underwear. I thought going commando meant you go commando.
Well...
And it turned out I got a fair amount of grit up in the old...
It's a mistake anyone could make.
It sure is, yeah.
So let's talk about these troops
Yeah.
for a minute.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Still 130,000 men and women over there. And we just don't talk about them anymore. You know, we're so concerned with our pocketbooks and our 401ks that we consider that over, but not much has changed for them. Military families' houses default on their mortgages at 4 times the national rate. And they're over there serving, and there's nothing they can do back here to help. You know, if they're in the reserve, their jobs are going away back here too. And I think it's so important for us not to forget that they're still going through the same things they went before, whether or not we're still talking about them.
And they're doing it still in danger.
Yeah, absolutely. The war is not over.
Mm-hmm. He shaves his head. He runs on stage with a suit that's made of army fatigues.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going through basic training. He starts, remember that wrist strong movement. He's fundraising for the troops. This is the era of the Hurt Locker, right? The Hurt Locker came out in 2008, and it was like, oh, the troops are awesome, actually. The troops are good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only good now because Obama's in charge. Guantanamo's cool. We don't have to close it because Obama's looking after the inmates now, the detainees.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And this is where his I think the descent into a liberal hack begins.
No, that's interesting. I wish I'd watched that special. But yeah, clearly not something he would have done during the Bush era, right?
No, I don't think. Well, I don't think they would have let him over. But the same way, like right now, there are actually influencers in Gaza who are showing all the food that's just waiting for the starving children.
If I were Israel, I wouldn't even provide matching socks to Gaza. But here's all the aid that y'all claim doesn't exist. Now walk with me. I'm here in Gaza, and all I see is food, water, and opportunity. But instead of Hamas distributing the ramen noodles, they're eating it all, and that's why their leaders are on Ozempic. The United Nations brings the food here to look like they're actually doing something productive, but they never finish the job, just like your ex. Now this food is sitting here collecting flies, but y'all want to blame Israel.
And how do you get over there? Who the fuck is bringing you over there? Well, the IDF and the United States government. So clearly he got an okay. And it was actually from, the origins are that he had some general on the Colbert Report named Bing West. And he actually suggested back in 2008, before Obama was elected, that he should come over to Iraq. And that's what he does. And he's like, he's lamenting our forgotten soldiers. The war is still going on, everybody. The war against who I can't remember anymore, but the war is still going on. And so now Stephen Colbert is entering as his liberal hack period as a mouthpiece of the state through his humor.
I sent Jordano a clip, and I apologize for jumping forward. This is like from like 2014, 15, lead up to the 2016 election. He has Hillary Clinton come on to the Colbert Report.
Stephen, I've got a hard choice for you.
Bring it, HRC.
Oh, it will be brought. Your choice. Promote my book, or I won't appear on your show.
But you have already appeared on my show.
No! Fine. Buy Hard Choices. Available in bookstores everywhere there are still bookstores. Or on our website down here, okay?
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Was that such a hard choice to make?
And you imagine, like, if this had happened 10 years earlier, have Stephen Colbert do that right-wing character while interviewing Hillary Clinton. What could be more incredible than that, right? Who does the right-wing media apparatus hate more than Hillary Clinton? She's their giant bugbear. And the entire interview is scripted. They have Hill Dog deliver some comedic zingers, and it is entirely glaze. His critical questions of Hillary in this interview is him saying, you name dropped too many people in your book. And it's all the people that she worked with, because I don't know if you heard, she was the most qualified person to ever run for president or whatever. It is awful.
He does this with Elon Musk as well in 2010, where he calls him some like super genius that's going to save the world.
You people have called you the real Tony Stark. Okay, you've got your finger in so many different advanced technologies. As I said, SpaceX, Tesla, now you've got Solar City and the solar pack that people put in their houses. Are you sincerely trying to save the world?
Well, I'm trying to do good things, yeah.
And I remember, even back then, even in 2010, I was like, this Elon Musk guy, kind of a fucking moron. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not even buying this thing. Oh, you're going to nuke Mars? That sounds brilliant. He also danced around Henry Kissinger. I don't know. Did you remember that? He was supposed to have Daft Punk on the Colbert Report to perform, but apparently they had an exclusive deal with Viacom and MTV. And so that when that Get Lucky song was very popular, which is a perfect Obama era song, I think.
Yeah.
That is like the vibe of the Obama era. I love Daft Punk, but that song is dog shit. So he, instead of getting Daft Punk on the show, he goes around DC and New York, like dancing around celebrities. And Bryan Cranston's involved in it. They like dance in some fucking roller skates. But he goes in the office of Henry Kissinger, the man who is responsible for many millions of deaths. And he's goofing off, doing his little silly dances around Henry Kissinger. And Henry Kissinger gets to play the straight man even. And there's no criticism there. There's no critical thought. It's just like, oh, hey, it's Henry Kissinger. He must have a good sense of humor to let Stephen Colbert shake his ass in his office.
Ruffle his hair, yeah.
He also had Donald Rumsfeld on the show, and he feigned, I think, criticism of Rumsfeld. But it's like, here you have another fucking war criminal on your show, and you're humanizing him.
Mhm.
You're letting him get away with it.
Mhm.
Like, I don't even think, and this is where maybe the era of in the Bush era, maybe that era of Colbert could have properly interviewed Rumsfeld in a critical way. But clearly in this Obama feel-good era where everything's okay, even our war criminals deserve some Catholic forgiveness or something. I don't know what it is exactly.
Grace.
But it is, it's fucking disgusting. Like this is also, I think, you go to the gulag for humanizing these people. The focal point of this, and this with Jon Stewart as well, is the rally to restore sanity. All right, yes, the Rally to Restore Sanity, which was meant to be a parody of the Rally to Restore America, led by Glenn Beck, on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. I believe Glenn Beck got the rights to do that, which is it was nice. It was nice of Obama to let him do that, I guess. Were you in D.C. at that time, Ben, or no?
No. I was still living in Canada at that time. And I am embarrassed to say we thought about going, me and some of my Canadian friends.
We're to the Glenn Beck rally? You were
no, to the Rally to Restore Sanity.
Honestly, less cringe
less
somehow.
Embarrassing.
Going to the rally.
We thought about renting a car and driving down to D.C. to see our favorite hosts, Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert, fix America. But fortunately, we were all poor undergrad students and we're not able to do that. Thank God.
But I think that's important to note. The fact that you wanted to go speaks to a certain level of there was a desire for political action from these people's audiences, right? And a lot of people did go to the National Mall to ostensibly do a rally, and I was watching that concession. It's not a concession speech. Sorry, it's
That's a Freudian slip right there.
It is, yeah. It's Jon Stewart doing the final speech of the Rally to Restore Sanity, and it's so clear that he feels bad. He feels so bad that he got thousands of people to get into one place in the National Mall and then offer them nothing. Because like we said, liberalism, there is no positive vision of the world, right? The positive vision of the world is to make small tweaks around the outside and make everyone happy. And so he's like, I know that I really appreciate that you guys came so far and we put a lot of hard work into the show, and it's great that my favorite line, I think, is when he says this country is about reasonable people coming together, and there are people who would seek to undermine our Constitution, like the racists.
There are terrorists and racists and Stalinists and theocrats. But those are titles that must be earned. You must have the resume.
I love that these are the two groups he sees as it's the horseshoe theory, right? We are the enlightened centrists. I mentioned the it's like that Futurama episode with the neutral country. We have a code beige. Tell my wife I say hello. That's how he sees himself, as the reasonable, enlightened center.
And he's trying to diagnose why nothing better is happening 2 years after Obama's election, where we did the thing, gang. We all went out and voted. We gave Obama a 60-seat Senate majority and a landslide victory in the presidency. Why isn't anything changing? Why is nothing getting better? And his only argument is that, it's such cliched fucking pablum. It's politics in Washington is broken. And people don't talk to one another. And, for most Americans, our values are the bedrocks on which we build compromise. And I was laughing so hard where he's trying to explain the concept of compromise to an American. And he says, and Americans are so car-brained that he says, imagine the Lincoln Tunnel. Notice how the people are able to merge, even though the people in these cars might have different viewpoints.
Oh yeah, I'm truly pathetic. I mean, yes, I think it all kind of culminates in the moment he realizes that this is all for nothing. He got these people to come as a joke, and they have no vision of the future. No, the solutions are there. They know what the solutions are, but for whatever reason, they won't go far enough. And that's just the Obama administration. I mean, that is Obama's legacy right then and there.
Mhm.
So there are still moments in the Colbert Report that are funny. The Better Know a District, you know, still a good bit. He actually, when he did that whole, when he ran for president and started his own PAC, and then he showed how Citizen United actually works, that was actually informative. That was interesting. Again, didn't offer a solution to that problem.
But still good at breaking, like, you know, he can still criticize without, you can criticize without a positive vision of the world, right? And just expose how stupid, because, I mean, the Republicans do have a vision of the world, and it's morbid, and so it's capable, you know, you can make fun of it. I'm going to start my own super PAC using your rules and embody taking this to its logical conclusion.
But yet never criticizes Obama. I mean, there's never any, and he has Obama on the show doing the word. You know, he is such a fucking mouthpiece for this kind of liberalism that it's pathetic. And it makes me embarrassed how much I bought into it back then. How I was like uncritically just enjoying the humor of it all. But never once does he like talk about the failures of the Democratic Party in any meaningful way.
No, it's because the failures is not the Democratic Party, it's the news, right? The news isn't being done earnestly enough, right? It's being done for money, and this is what's causing, you know, politics to be bad or something.
And I think nobody did it better than The Daily Show and maybe CNN, but at least for me and Colbert, to make it seem like it's not actually Obama's fault. He would love to actually fix these things. It's just that there are these racist people and these news broadcasters that are getting in the way of any actual change. It's not Obama's fault at all, trust me.
Right.
And people still fucking do this. I think it's hitting less and less. It's working less and less, but this is the exact same script that they used during the Biden years of we could have everything awesome if it weren't for just Joe Manson and Queerston Cinema or whatever her name is.
Queerston. She was our first bi senator, I think, right?
Yeah.
Progress, baby. However, there are still moments where you see the vestiges of Colbert's humor and at least like a little bit more sensibility, or at least, I don't know, he wasn't a complete liberal hack at that point yet, because this is like the percolations of wokeness are happening, I think, in the waning years of the Obama administration. Remember, we didn't get gay marriage till 2015. I forgot that it took the end that he finally gave us this little nice thing, a departing gift. Like, see, I was a good president.
Quote, gave us. It was
Obama,
like a Supreme Court decision.
Well,
but yeah.
Okay, but still, when people say, what did Obama ever do? They'll say gay marriage.
Sure,
he gets credit for that, even though he was against it initially. You know, Biden wasn't. Remember, Biden was cool with it. Anyway, there is this moment in 2014 where the word cancel actually enters the American lexicon, and it's through the Colbert Report. It's through the hashtag cancel Colbert. This is even according to, I think, Wikipedia, or it wasn't Wikipedia, it was a New York Times article. It said, in perhaps the earliest instance of cancel culture to include the term, which was a word from Black Americans that was stolen by white people per usual, et cetera, et cetera. The official Twitter account of the Comedy Central show, The Colbert Report, posted a joke that could be taken as a denigration of Asians, and the activist Sui Park responded with the hashtag cancel Colbert, only to end up getting doxxed and canceled herself with so much vitriol directed her way that she fled her home and started communicating with burner phones. Do you guys remember this moment? The cancel Colbert thing?
Yes. I had to brush up a little bit by watching some of the Colbert clips, but
yes.
I did vaguely recall the attempted cancellation of Colbert.
Now, I will say, very funny. This is a 2005 joke he made when he first started the Colbert Report, where he did Ching Chong Ding Dong, right? Where he did a incredibly racist impression of an Asian guy.
My beloved character, Ching Chong Ding Dong. Ooh, I love tea. It's so good for you. You're so pretty, American girl. You come here, you kiss my teeth, make all sweet. I don't need no sugar when you're around. Come on, my rickshaw, I give you a ride to Bangkok.
And he brought it back up to criticize what's his name, the owner of the Redskins, starting some foundation. Dan Snyder, thank you, for starting some foundation that was meant to benefit American Indians, but it was with the racist
slur in the title.
Yeah. And so he made fun of that by it was like Ching Chong Ding Dongs, like
Center for Orientalist Studies or something like that,
or whatever I think it was called. Yeah, and it was a good bit. Like it was I think a very funny bit.
It's clearly making fun of Dan Schneider.
Yes. And yes, there was this cancellation campaign. The first time I think people heard the word cancel, and Stephen Colbert did a really good job of, in a non-liberal way, criticizing the logic of this thing, like being like trying to explain the joke to people, like that I am a character, like I'm a character, that's a character, and it's very funny, and it seemed to at least like temper the coming wave of cancel culture that wouldn't be a term we use until the Trump administration.
Here's what happened to me. Last Wednesday, I saluted Washington Redskins owner Daniel Snyder for his new charity, the Washington Redskins Original Americans Foundation, which some have called an obvious attempt to win over Native Americans because it only uses the term Redskins once in its name. Now I have my own racial misunderstanding with the Asian community over a long-running and beloved character on my show. Very important, he is a character. He is not me. This is the real Stephen Colbert. I mean everything I say on this show. He means, well, you'd have to ask him, and he's not returning my calls right now. Anyway, I was so inspired by Dan Snyder's charitable outreach that I formed my own charity, the Ching Chong Ding Dong Foundation for Sensitivity to Orientals or whatever.
Yeah, there's a great clip of him saying, like, I am not a character. This is what I really believe. And it's sort of just like he didn't back down. And you realize, like, how funny and, like, useless it is to, like, criticize a character's behavior, right? Like, how funny would that be to be like, Peter Griffin is being racist or something like that, right? Like, that's
character, yeah.
And that's the ultimate shield for someone like him, and like why his act was able to be so transgressive. You know, you need an angle like that.
So that was the last dying breath, I think, of Stephen Colbert as a funny human being. Because in 2015, he would become the host of the Late Night Show, taking over for David Letterman. The way that they wrote about him taking over the Late Night Show was a little hyperbolic. They gave the importance of the Late Night Show something that, as a millennial, I don't know how you guys were with late night shows. I didn't give a fuck. I didn't watch that shit.
That was funny. It was like, you know, the hallowed halls of American entertainment, and it's like, well, didn't the show start in like the early 90s? And like wasn't David Letterman's, or like the David Letterman show, I think, was supposed to be like the offbeat Gen X, like postmodern take on the Johnny Carson Tonight Show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like David Letterman would do wacky, goofy stuff, right? Like he was sort of undermining the concept of a late night show
until he became just the Late Night Show. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it is funny that suddenly now Stephen is like entering the hallowed halls of
the Ed Sullivan Theater.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Just walking down the hallways of the Ed Sullivan Theater with awe in your eyes. Tear rolls down your cheek. You go, wow, a lot of interns got harassed in these halls.
But yeah, the way people wrote about it was very funny. Like, this was the New York Times. But more crucially, it is the first time that a wide audience will see Mr. Colbert freed from the confines of the blowhard pundit character he played on the Colbert Report. And it is true. That's what happened. And it fucking sucked.
Mm-hmm. That was the big conversation at the time, right? How is he going to make the leap from...
And that's exactly what they're debating, because you already had Jimmy Fallon on NBC and Jimmy Kimmel on ABC. And this was also from the New York Times. Unlike NBC's Jimmy Fallon, who made a cameo in the episode, this is the first episode of the Colbert Report, Colbert does not do unfettered earnestness. Unlike ABC's Jimmy Kimmel, he does not do exasperated jadedness. as Colbert explained to Jeb Bush on his first episode, who had remarked on all the pictures of Colbert on the Ed Sullivan Theater ceiling, quote, "I used to play a narcissist conservative candidate. Now I'm just a narcissist." That was honest. That part, very true. But yeah, I remember watching the first couple episodes of the Late Night Show with Stephen Colbert with like bated breath. I was like, "What's this? What's he gonna do? What's it gonna be like?" And I do remember in the first episode he was still trying to be weird, and he did some like weird advertisement for Sabra hummus where it was like the hummus was Satan. He was like talking to Satan through the hummus, and it was absurd and weird. And I was like, this is nice. Okay. Well, they never did that again. Yeah. they're like, no.
No, Sabra is an Israeli hummus, so some Hasbara guys, reached out, cracked down on that.
Mm-hmm. Now he wouldn't like become the absolute worst version of himself in the first year because it was 2015. It still seemed like we were going to continue with the Obama era neoliberalism, but that's not what happened. And he actually did a live election night special with I think Mark Halperin and another like idiot conservative pundit. I can't remember his name, but you see him being serious and not being funny about Trump's victory because nobody saw that coming, I guess, right? And you see he's like clearly distraught. Like his worldview is crumbling right in front of us on television.
And I think the people who designed our democracy didn't want us in it all the time. Informed, yes. Politicking all the time? I don't think so. Not divided that way. They designed an election that was meant to confuse us and bore us a little bit. That's why the Electoral College exists and C-SPAN. And why the State of the Union begins with 20 minutes of shaking hands with grandpas. But now politics is everywhere, and that takes up precious brain space we could be using to remember all the things we actually have in common. So whether your side won or lost, we don't have to do this for a while. So keep your American flag up, but you can take off your American flag hat. You can put away your I voted stickers, and you can get back to your life.
And that's when he, like the phoenix of ashes, is like reborn into the worst version of himself. Now I want to talk about like this era of Stephen Colbert we had for the past 8 years. I can't believe it's been 8 years of this crap, 9 years of this crap.
I know.
It's just it's so fucking bad.
Watching the PP tape special where he goes to Russia, like I remember watching that when it came out, and I'm like, wow, I guess this was 8 years ago. Like that this, remember he goes to the hotel and he's like looking for cameras, But yeah, he becomes the liberal avatar for fighting back against Trump. And remember, everybody was pretty histrionic over Trump that first administration. I think we all kind of wish we could have that first administration back because I think Trump was a lot less effective in that first go-round.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We still had national parks back then.
But yeah, so like Alec Baldwin, he became a focal point of like our cultural imagination against Trump. He shot, like we said, from fourth to first in the ratings.
Yeah, a lot of barnacles hanging off the anti-Trump train at this point. I want to add one more name to the hashtag lib resistance, which is of course Keith Olbermann, who had his own. He's, I believe, where we got the term "the resistance" because that was the name of his YouTube series that he shot like from his home ? Just on a plain white background. And I distinctly remember a clip of Keith Olbermann saying that he was ending his show because there was no way that the Trump presidency could continue now that he has fired James Comey. And he said, like, you cannot fire the man who is investigating you. Well, called your shot, bud. Hit the showers.
But yeah, I don't think anybody did the Orange Man PP tape thing harder than Stephen Colbert.
No. He had the cartoon Trump, you know.
And he had the worst impression of Trump. I mean, his was just terrible. There's no humor in it whatsoever.
This poll got answers on other major issues, such as Trump would beat Biden at having a poker face. Oh, yes. He is a master of deception. A lot of people are saying I have the perfect hand. They're saying it's a queen, a 7, a 4, a 2 of clubs, and a holographic Squirtle Pokemon card. All in.
And then I do reflect back on Colbert's body of work, where he was never an impressionist. He was a characterist. Like he could embody a character,
right.
but he never did an impression of someone else. And he tried to do it when they were parodying Alex Jones with that Tuck Buckford character.
Mm-hmm.
And it's terrible. It's not funny, and it's not even a good impression of him.
And it's more of that media navel gazing, right? Like, do we need an Alex Jones parody on late night? Like, it's one thing if you're parodying Bill O'Reilly, who's like the highest rated show on Fox News, which is one of the highest rated channels, especially for older Americans who watch so much cable news, yada. But like, did we need an Alex Jones parody? Really?
Well, that Jordan Klepper even had his own show that was supposed to take over Colbert as a Alex Jones parody. Like they were supposed to do that version of it, and that failed miserably as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's the lowest hanging fruit for sure. I wonder, so like, let's say Stephen Colbert had decided to make the decision to be like, oh, I'm going to be like, I'm going to do a satire and be like earnestly supporting Trump every week, just like I did with Colbert and Bush, right? And I wonder if he could have done that, because does he really understand Trump the same way he does understand like the WASP George Bush, right? Like a traditional American conservative. I think he kind of gets that, but like the type of like conservative that he really understands, I think would be a never Trump person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
That's why he had Jeb Bush on as the first guest.
Well, and that's the whole thing is he didn't want to parody them because he is like a never Trumper, truly.
Mm-hmm.
And he did try to bring back that Colbert character. He would deploy him at certain moments on the late night show, and he would ride out on a chariot with like glistening hair, like hairless men, like bodybuilder men, with that American like what's the character? Captain America shield, and like doing his woo, like trying to be that character again, and he could never quite grasp it. Mostly because that era was over. I just don't think you can do it anymore. And truly, the only people worth parodying are the libs themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the best thing. But I think he held it upon himself, and maybe he thought too highly of himself because perhaps he does give himself credit for the Obama era, that he helped usher that in. And so now it's up to him to usher us out of the Trump era. And the only way you know how to do that is to, obsess over the alleged homoeroticism between Putin and Trump.
Right.
That was weird, and that was just not fucking funny.
I think it's when a lot of people sort of lost their faith in like the liberalism as some kind of like opposition to Trump, to be like, this is really what you have, like, the PP tape, like
reminding us that Hillary Clinton actually did win the popular vote. That's hilarious.
I was thinking about this too, how I loved how much libs were obsessed with sexual blackmail, but not the real one with Epstein. Like, they were like, that's ridiculous, and we will not sink so low as to bring up Epstein and the sexual compromat that he has acquired over decades. But the PP tape, that's an exception to the rule somehow.
He was so sure that was real too.
Oh yeah, and it's so funny what the PP tape was allegedly. It's not him getting pissed on. It's just some fucking hookers pissing on a bed. Like, why is that's bad?
Because
like,
Obama slept in the bed, right?
But it wasn't like he was getting peed on. So what's the embarrassing thing? That he paid some women to piss on a bed? What? That's not that bad, honestly.
It's a victimless crime.
Really, truly. Now, he would continue to be a mouthpiece for the Dems, having them on, like setting them up to try to be funny, and he wasn't funny anymore, so of course they weren't funny either. There's a great clip of him with Obama, Biden, and Clinton in the Biden the Biden 2024 campaign for his reelection, where he calls him Dark Brandon, and it's so fucking pathetic. It's disgusting. There are also a couple of moments where he covers for the CIA. There's that famous clip where Claire Danes is explaining her character in that awful television show on Showtime. I forget what it's called.
Homeland.
And she's talking about how the CIA operates, and he immediately he shuts her down.
Okay, so now one of the things that you do you do this every season where you go get to spend some time with some actual spies?
We do. It's like the coolest part of my job.
Who sets that up? Who calls the CIA and goes, we just like to come in and hang out with you guys?
Yeah, so Henry Brumell, who is one of our founding fathers of Homeland, one of our writers, passed away a number of years ago, but his dad was in the CIA, and his cousin was a mentee of his father's and was also in the CIA, a very accomplished person there. And he recently retired, but in his retirement, he curates this week-long spy camp for us producers and writers. And
really?
Yeah.
Is it like, you know...
Yeah, so we park ourselves in a club in Georgetown and talk to, like, real spooks. And, you know, people in the intelligence community and the State Department and journalists and people who really...
What do they tell you that, like, what's the most surprising thing that they've told you about their jobs or something you would need to know?
Well, every year it's different, right? We've been at it for a while, and the climate has changed. But this year it was all about, you know, the distrust between the administration and the intelligence world, and the intelligence community was suddenly kind of allying itself with journalists, which usually they're not.
How long ago did you start shooting this season?
Being like, no, we can't talk about that, because it kind of implicates him and his business, his industry. And then he most recently had Slotkin on, and she says, actually, the CIA are a bunch of good, corn-fed folk from America.
Republicans, a lot of the people, sort of conspiratorially minded people out there, like to think that some of the trouble the United States has is because of what they call the deep state.
Right.
Okay, and as a former spy, is there a deep state? What do they mean by deep state?
Yeah, I wish people could understand that a lot of the guys that I serve with, guys and gals at the CIA or at the Pentagon where I served, first of all, a lot of them are former military. So, you know, if you can't be like pro-military and then anti-intelligence community and deep state. But a lot of the guys are also like wearing mom jeans and white sneakers on the weekends. Like, these are good, corn-fed people who just want to help their country.
Eating ballpark franks.
Eating their hot dogs or doing whatever. And this idea that there's some network of people that are running the world, it doesn't really match reality. And these people in the dead of night are doing things to protect this country and make sure things don't blow up here. And for me, you know, the way that Trump is going after them is just, first of all, it's nasty. Second of all, it's completely counter to our interests to be demoralizing the people that are protecting us.
Oh, I mean, this happened during COVID too, and should be careful so we don't get fucking shadow banned for talking about this or whatever. But
do they still do that?
I don't know. I don't know if they're still cracking down on that kind of shit. We got briefly sent to YouTube jail at one point for something COVID related. But Jon Stewart was on there talking about the Wuhan virology lab, and Colbert's like, no, stop. He's like, he absolutely does not want Jon Stewart to talk about the lab leak theory whatsoever.
And, well, even more recently, he had Mamdani on, and he was being a fucking dick to Mamdani. He was being an absolute prick to him. And it's just like, where's the humor in this even? I don't know. It'd at least be funny about it. But instead, you know, he was doing Cuomo's work for him, more or less. Right. So I am not sad. I mean, I'm sad that he's gone and that he gets to be a liberal martyr and gets to hold that stature. He doesn't have to actually reckon with his own failures anymore, because it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, I got fired because I was a threat to Trump, because Trump actually I was hurting him.
Right.
That's why they got rid of me, because I was effective.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, no, absolutely not.
True. Because, yeah, there is like there's the ostensible reason that the studio gave for canceling the show, which was like, yeah, this form of media is a little archaic, right? Like the late night show is a remnant of what, like the fucking like 1940s. Like, you don't need all of this to do what you want here. Like, like Hot Ones probably gets the same ratings as your fucking show,
and asks harder hitting questions, actually.
Yeah,
and requires a crew of what, like 3 people. This show has probably a crew of like 3,000 people or something.
I think 100, close to 100.
100.
Yeah.
I dated someone who was a writer on the show, actually, but I don't really want to say too much.
Was he funny?
Yeah. No, Jordano, you exactly right. Like, I think the actual reason for the cancellation of this show is the internet has completely supplanted everything that late night is supposed to do, right? Late night is a mix of comedy, interviews for people to promote their shit, and maybe some new music also. And like all of those things are done better and more efficiently by the internet and YouTube and the fucking algorithms so that people can get the slop that they want, right? And on top of that, the massive corporate merger that Isaac mentioned at the top of the show requires pledging a little bit of fealty towards Trump. So if you are the people at CBS, Viacom, Sky, whatever the fuck, this is the best possible news. You make Trump happy for your merger, and you dump this dead weight program that doesn't need to exist anymore. Win, 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 baby.
And Trump, of course, is going to dance on his grave a little bit. Like, it's all about spite. Mm-hmm. And so this person who, even though he had, like, really was like a leech on Trump himself, like his career exists as it is today because of Trump, like is now well, actually very ceremoniously removed. And so in a way, it's a huge win for Colbert and his sense of self and his legacy, which again is incredibly disappointing because he's not funny. It sucks. There could have been a better way where maybe he can return to form, but I don't think he has it in him anymore. Mm-hmm. It's like watching some athlete try to wring out a couple more years of his decaying body. It's ugly.
Or watching Howard Stern, in the modern era.
No, it's like it's like watching fucking Mike Tyson box Jake Paul. Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And he's got many millions of dollars. He seems very happily married. He's a wife guy as a Catholic. But it is, I will still think fondly on some of his moments from the past, and I would still rewatch Strangers with Candy and enjoy the jokes he made there.
Yeah, and he's clearly he has a razor sharp wit. I think he has excellent memory recall. He seems very smart. He just doesn't really have it in him to draw blood, I guess, anymore in a transgressive fashion.
Well, the New York Times, in their analysis of this firing, has basically said, you know where Stephen Colbert should go? Podcasting.
I'm sure he will. I mean, that's
fuck.
I'm shocked.
There's not enough room. We're full. We're full.
Yeah,
no more podcasts. No more podcasts.
Yeah, there's someone out there who's like, what should I listen to? The Stephen Colbert podcast or Coexist Inc.
Well, there's a correct answer to that question.
Yeah, I mean, that's what all these guys do. Right? Jon Stewart, I believe, has a podcast. Obama has his podcast with Bruce Springsteen in one of them.
Who the fuck listens to that? That's what I want to know. I want to know who the hell
That's
is
just
that.
the move for Conan O'Brien has one, That's the move. I'm sure he'll have a podcast. Because, again, the production costs are so low for these people. And people will listen just to hear Stephen. He should start a Lord of the Rings podcast. I would listen to that.
Yeah, it would be very cute if he did something like that. That could be forgivable. Just stay the fuck out of politics, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of an idiot when it comes to politics.
Yeah.
So
it's been also so disappointing seeing the bad kind of class solidarity, which is when rich late night hosts all get together to defend their friend Stephen Colbert, like Kimmel and Fallon and Jon Stewart and John Oliver. Right after it was announced, they were all in the audience building up their friend, or what have you. It was like, dude, this is bad. Real friends wouldn't let their friend produce work of this quality.
This also happened like at the same time as that Gaza reporter was assassinated by Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember hearing them say much of anything about that. And so, yeah, the juxtaposition of them, people literally protesting the Colbert's firing and not saying fucking anything about Gaza. Again, gulag. I really, I gotta be put in charge, and I will fix things. I will not, I won't slip up on this shit.
Yeah, like there is so much. It is so ripe for someone to like earnestly try and represent the views of Israel right now. Like that would be such a great satire for him to go on there and defend Israel as like a ostensible. Like Stephen Colbert would do. Like that's
no one. Yeah, no one's doing that.
No one. Yeah,
no one would do that. Doing his impression of Michael Rappaport. So I don't know if you guys have any more thoughts on the late night show.
No, I mean, so we've spent so much time together now talking about Jon Stewart and The Daily Show, something so that we were so fond of in high school and in our upbringing. And it's just so sad to see everything go to shit. And I think that Rally to Restore Sanity speech, like, really was kind of the piece that connected everything to be like, oh yeah, this is why, like, this went nowhere in the Obama era, because at no point would they ever be willing to say, hey, like, Obama's not doing any of the things that he said he would do, must be Fox News' fault.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Ku Klux Klan that won't let him close Guantanamo Bay. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. And if any listeners of Coexist Inc. aren't familiar with Remember Shuffle, you should go make yourself familiar with it. I don't know if you want to plug anything you guys are working on or coming up to. I know we just recorded a show about The Sopranos. Something we can look back on fondly. Thank you very much. Something that I can, not that it was a part of my childhood, but, I'd like to pretend it was.
It's something that is a satire, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Like another great satire from the 2000s about, Catholic satire. Yeah, Isaac. So if you're a fan of, obviously if you're listening to this, you're a giant Isaac fan. So go listen to one of like the 5 Isaac episodes on our show now. We've done Fast Food Nation. We've done 9/11 Conspiracies, one of our best episodes, which was so funny to bring you in to talk about 9/11 conspiracies, because that, like, it is the most like normie conspiracy that you might be familiar with, right? And I think this is like the Aragorn kicked a helmet and broke his toe detail, but like for conspiracies, you're like, oh yeah, something weird with Building 7, like you were conspiring at a much higher level than we are.
Yeah, I have no idea what to conspire against. I will publish this show before the anniversary of 9/11, and I have no idea what I'm going to say. I'm out of ideas.
Yeah. Pick up that book that you mentioned there, the Canadian guy's book about 9/11.
Peter Dale Scott, The Road to 9/11.
Peter Dale Scott.
Oh, Peter Dale Scott. Oh, yeah. Road to 9/11. Great book. Amazing book. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I would plug for Isaac appearances. Our 2000 presidential election is a great fucking episode. It's a long one. It is, as Isaac aptly pointed out, the one that destroyed the world. It's a really good one. Yeah, Remember Shuffle, 2000s pop culture, politics. It's a nostalgia show that's not a nostalgia show. Yeah. And hey, Isaac, thanks for having us on. This was a great time.
It's always a pleasure talking to you guys. So we'll come up with another thing in the very near future.
Yeah.
Great to get together with our cousin from Florida over here.